Hello, 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 my loves. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to another edition of the monthly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell, so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my loves, I cannot believe that we are about to enter into April. It's like January lasts for 3 years. February is like a blur. And March is kind of mild, but we're already in spring. It is a new year. It is about to be a new month. And oh boy, do we have a lot of new energy. I don't know how you are feeling because we are right in the middle of eclipse season. So you may be feeling unsettled. You may be feeling enlightened. You may be feeling perhaps grounded in this new reality that is unfolding before us. Let me know. If you are here in the chat tonight, right now, thank you so much for joining me. I sincerely appreciate you. But let me know in the chat how this eclipse season is for you thus far. And if you are catching this on the replay, hit up the comment section and let me know how you are currently feeling, because it is not for the faint of heart. And the good and the bad news is that the party just keeps on going, because we are about to have a major eclipse. If you thought this eclipse on Monday was major, it's about to get even majorer with the new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aries that is going down on April 8th. So April is perhaps the most dynamic month of 2024. The energy is explosive, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Think of it like the Big Bang, right? First there was darkness and boom, everything was just sort of created, right? This is a month of creation. But typically, creation is preceded by a little bit of chaos, hence eclipse season. So we've got lots to discuss. And so before we get into all of the details, of course, housekeeping and announcements. So if you are joining me here on the live this evening, thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate you. Feel free to say hi on your way in and hit that like button, please, and thank you. And if you are catching this on the replay, I appreciate you just as much. I sincerely hope that you get exactly what you are looking for with this broadcast. And if you haven't already, hit that like button, the subscribe button, and that notification bell. All right. So as usual, if you are someone who is interested in your horoscope, but you have absolutely nowhere to look, you don't know where to look, or what you seem to find doesn't necessarily resonate with you, then you'll definitely want to consider subscribing to my text service, where you will get your weekly horoscope texted to you every Monday morning. And you can do that by texting the word ZODIAC to the number 855-826-5544. They're short, sweet, to the point. People seem to really like them. So if you are interested, the link will be in the description box below. And as always, if you are someone who is brand spanking new to astrology and you have absolutely no idea what's going on, or maybe you're not so new to astrology and you still don't really have that big of an idea of what's going on, right? You still kind of don't know what's up and what's down. Don't worry, I've got you covered. I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which basically gives you the quick and dirty on everything you need to know to start studying and understanding astrology, namely the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the signs, and the aspects. So it's an 11-page PDF document that gives you a short summary on what everything is so that you can start committing it to memory, because regardless of what anyone says or doesn't say, astrology is indeed a science. And like any science, it requires a good deal of study. So to help you start studying, I created this cheat sheet. Link is in the description box below. All you have to do is drop your email address and you're good to go. All right. And so I'm excited to announce that I have a channel membership. You can officially become a roommate of the Astro Room. For a small monthly fee, you will get access to exclusive videos, discount on products and services. I will provide sign-specific videos for the month, for the week, and for all special transits. It's a lot, but it's definitely worth it. So if you want more content, or if you're looking for a way to support the channel, then definitely consider becoming a roommate, all right? If you are watching this on desktop, you can just press that join button, or if you are on mobile, the link will be in the description box below. And finally, I'm even more excited to announce that I will be starting a monthly webinar series. All right, so every month I will be hosting a live webinar on a particular astrological topic so that you can learn more about it. And the first one is going down on April 10th. And it is how to read your natal chart. I will teach you the components of a natal chart, how to read your own natal chart so you not only understand it, but most importantly, you start to understand yourself. This is going to be a really dope webinar. Again, it's going down on April 10th. If you are interested, it'll not only be tagged to the video, but it'll also be linked in the description box below. I'm super excited. And again, it'll be every month. And if you can't make it live, you can always catch the replay that will be emailed to you once you sign up. So again, link is in the description box below. All right. So that's pretty much it when we come to announcements. So let's get into the details, because April is a month, honey. It is a month where you are definitely going to want to pay attention and going to want to take action. With a caveat, of course. Because we have our favorite to start out the month. Sometimes the universe has a cruel sense of humor because we start Mercury retrograde on April Fool's Day. So, I mean, it doesn't get any crueler than that, right? However, Mercury retrograde is nothing to be afraid of, number one. And number two, this Mercury retrograde I particularly like. Because we've got so much dynamic energy in April, which I will detail shortly, you may feel very impulsive this month. This may be a month where you have an idea and you're immediately going after it. You're immediately taking action. You're doing all the things, right? And Mercury retrograde is like, oh, hold on a second. All right, I know you want to move forward, full steam ahead, but let's think this through. Not only let's think this through, let's think about maybe the last time we tried to do this. Or perhaps the last time we tried to start something new impulsively. How did that work out for you? Mercury retrograde is going to be that little tap on your shoulder that tells you to slow down, take several seats, and think things through. It's one of those think before you leap kind of energies. And that is ultimately a good thing, because with the dynamic energy of April, with the sun being in Aries, plus we've got a new moon solar eclipse in Aries, it's like, again, this energy of being impulsive. It's this energy of wanting to do, wanting to go, wanting to be, wanting to having this fire of desire that you feel like you can't put out, right? It's this, and I don't know about you, I feel like as soon as Aries season began, it's like, boom, it's like you're up and ready to go. I feel like the last day of Pisces season, you were probably either sleeping or crying or napping or relaxing. And then boom, Aries season happened. You're like, all right, I want to do this. I want to do that. Like it's a whole thing, right? It's important that we think before we leap, that we take stock of things before we put them into action. While it's great to be impulsive, I feel like that impulsivity is like that fire being lit under our asses to start some new things. It's like you got to take your brain with you and you got to think things through. This solar eclipse that we're having this month is, to me, it feels like a new portal is opening. Something about this eclipse feels kind of intergalactic. And I'm not sure if it's just because it's in the sign of Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is very, Martian, very alien-like. But something about this eclipse feels intergalactic, meaning like a new door is opening that reaches far beyond we've been able to fathom even before. It's like the sky is not even the limit right now. And there's really this, if you're tapped in, if you're really with the shits, right? You're like, yeah, this is go time. Like, I know I need to do this. I'm here to do this. Like if you've been doing your work, if you are on purpose, right? I feel like this is the time where you just want to get up and go. And while that is all well and good, Mercury retrograde is going to slow you down a little bit, but ultimately that is a good thing, right? Plus, we've got Venus moving twice this month, and we've got Mars moving. Plus, we've got a full moon in Scorpio. And the good thing is, Mercury retrograde will only last, like the bulk of it will be in April. So it starts on April 1st and it ends on April 25th. So it's April that has this wonky kind of Mercury retrograde energy. And then we have perhaps one of the most important transits of the year going down on April 20th. And I'll talk a little bit about that in this broadcast. However, I'm going to do a whole dedicated video to it because it is extremely important. All right. So that's kind of an overview. Let's get into the highlights and see exactly what April's got in store for us. So first, we have what I like to call run that back. And of course, that's Mercury retrograde. My notes are a little crazy. The first thing I said was stealing your thunder. Okay, so it's like cooling your heels a little bit. The second is take several seats, right? This is that get up and go, but then being forced to sit back down kind of energy. And lastly, look and think before you leap, which is going to be super important. Then we have what I like to call fresh out the box. And this is the new moon solar eclipse in Aries. So this is, my notes are hilarious. It says new shit, new beginnings, new portal opens. So it is new, new, new. That is the phrase that pays with this particular eclipse. Okay. And then finally, we have what I like to call Battle of the Sexes. So by the end of the month, Venus will be in its home sign of Taurus and Mars will be in its home sign of Aries. So we're going to see a lot of ultra feminine energy and a lot of ultra masculine energy. And seeing how those two kind of play together is going to be extremely interesting. If you've noticed that we've been experiencing these sort of gender wars over the last couple of years, but I feel like they've come to a head recently. That's only going to ramp up, particularly at the end of the month. All right, so let's get into the details. So this is what April is looking like in a nutshell. So first off, we start off with Mercury retrograde. Then we've got Venus moving into Aries. That's that first Venus move of the month. Then we have that new moon eclipse in the sign of Aries, major shit going down. Then we have the sun moving into Taurus, officially establishing Taurus season. The full moon of the month is going down in the sign of Scorpio, and thankfully that is not an eclipse. It is just a regular full moon. Then we've got Mercury going direct in Aries. See, so Mercury retrograde direct, same month, which is, it is what it is. Then Venus moves into her home sign of Taurus, and then Mars will move into its home sign of Aries. All right, so without further ado, I always do this. I always leave all of these open. Hold on a second. All right, so first up, we've got Mercury going retrograde in Aries, and this is going down on April 1st. Okay, so you know the deal with Mercury retrograde. It's all the re's. It's relax, reminisce, remember, retrace, reflect, right? Resist sometimes, right? And in this particular case, with Mercury going retrograde in Aries, I feel like resist is going to be the major for this retrograde season, because Aries is very much get up and go. It's action oriented. It's big bang kind of energy. And Mercury retrograde is like, nah, I need you to pump your brakes. You can't be so impulsive. The imagery that immediately comes to mind is, you know how children love to run everywhere? Whether it's to recess, whether it's to the car, children just love to run. And there's always a parent who's like, stop running, right? Like, especially when it was, in grade school and it's recess, right? And you still really cared about recess. You would be running and the teacher would either stop you or slow you down. Like, that is this Mercury retrograde in Aries that we're experiencing this month. And again, that's for a good reason. A lot of us are, I don't want to say feeling, well, I will say it. A lot of us are feeling bold. A lot of us are feeling like it's time to take new actions, new steps. A lot of us have a lot of new ideas. And it's not to say that you shouldn't act on them. It's not to say that you shouldn't take action toward them. It's that perhaps maybe you haven't really thought things through. Maybe you really are acting purely off instinct or purely off passion. That is a great way to get something off the ground, but it's not necessarily the way to get things moving or to get things progressing long term. So Mercury retrograde gets you to really reflect on things, think things through. Now, what's interesting is that not only is the North Node in Aries, but Chiron is currently in Aries. So this Mercury retrograde cycle in Aries, it may be a little more emotional than you may initially think it would be. Or it may be a time where you're really reflecting on past wounds, past traumas, and past insecurities, especially as it relates to perhaps starting new things or even just about you as a person or your identity. So this may be a situation where, okay, let's say you've been mulling over the idea of starting a new business, right? You've been doing the research, hasn't really felt like the right time, but this Aries season feels like the time to really do something, to take significant action. Mercury retrograde in Aries is not only going to get you to slow down a bit, but it's also going to get you to examine how you feel about yourself. Because if there's one thing that entrepreneurship does above all else, apart from the unlimited financial, the fact that you can make as much money as you want, you make your own hours, you're your own boss, entrepreneurship shows you a lot about yourself. Hard body. And Mercury retrograde in Aries is like, so how exactly are you feeling about yourself? What do you really think about yourself? And how can that affect you starting something new? And in this case, a business. This is really important information, okay? Healing is always important, right? We're never done healing. Healing is not linear. It is cyclical, right? But we've come to a point where it's like you really have to examine, and this is from a logical standpoint. Now, Chiron has a lot to do with your insecurities, your emotional wounds and things like that. So, of course, there's going to be an emotional element to it. But Mercury is all logic. It's all thought. It's all idea. So it's like, what are your beliefs about yourself? How do you feel about yourself? And analyzing it from a more logical standpoint, right? And sort of taking stock of how perhaps you dealt with starting new things in the past. How did that make you feel? What were the results? How did, whether it succeeded or it failed, how did that affect how you see yourself? Now, these may be questions that are top of mind during this Mercury retrograde, especially if you're tapped in, right? However, they may not be. These may be things that become apparent to you over time, or that may be reflected back to you via your relationships or the circumstances that you find yourself in. Either way, it behooves you to really seek to answer these questions and figure out, how do I feel about myself? How do I go about getting what I want? That is one of the major components of the Aries energy signature. It's like, I have a desire. How do I fulfill it? And Mercury retrograde is just going to ask you, well, how did you fulfill all your other desires? How did that work out for you? Maybe it's time to do something different, right? Especially with the North Node being there, it's like, okay, maybe it's time to really be who you're meant to be. Maybe it's time to stop faking the funk and really get in touch with who you truly are, right? As we start this new cycle, as we enter this whole new portal, it's not about doing things the same way. It's about doing things differently. And, because Aries and Mars energy is so instinctive, it's like muscle memory, right? It's like what you're used to doing. It can even be knee-jerk reactions, which again can be good to start something. But if it's the same type of knee-jerk reactions you've had in the past, if it's clearly if it's muscle memory, this is how you've typically dealt with things in the past. What do you think is going to happen this time? You're going to do the same thing over again. And what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over again and expecting a different result. So Mercury retrograde is actually here to save the day. Mercury retrograde is getting you to stop and be like, wait a minute. You've tried this before, and the way that you went about it didn't necessarily work out for you. So let's try something different. Or perhaps, in the past, you didn't think that highly of yourself. But now the slate is being wiped clean. So let's work on how we feel about ourselves, what we believe about ourselves, and then try to do this new thing, right? It's really important that you use this Mercury retrograde energy for what it is designed for, to reflect. Reflect before you move forward and resist the urge to just function off muscle memory or knee-jerk reactions, okay? This is not the time to act on instinct alone. And don't worry, even though Mercury retrograde is slowing you down, you're not going to miss the bus. You're not going to miss an opportunity. You're actually going to, if you use the Mercury retrograde energy for what it is designed to do, in this instance, you're not only going to make the bus, but the bus is going to wait for you. Like, you're going to be able to capitalize on new opportunities better than you would have if you just acted on instinct alone, right? So it's really important that you use this Mercury retrograde energy properly and for what it's made for. All right. So next up, we've got Venus entering Aries, and this is going down on April 5th. So Venus in Aries, it's a very interesting transit, right? Because Aries is all about how do I get from point A to point B in the fastest, most direct way. And when it comes to getting from point A to point B, the topic is love and money. So it's like, all right, how do I make this relationship work? How do I, I have this relationship, how do I make this work? I want to get this money, how do I, like, your laser-like focus is on either relationships or money, or maybe beauty and creativity, right? Those can be topics that transpire under this particular transit as well. But you become impulsive, you become impatient, and it's the thrill of the chase when Venus is in Aries. So it's just like, when it comes to romance, let's say, Venus in Aries, great for starting relationships, right? Especially sexual ones, if I'm being honest. But longevity, not necessarily the best, because it's like you like the honeymoon stage. You like the instant gratification of it, not necessarily the discipline and all of the realness that goes along with it. And the same thing applies for money. So it can be great to start things. Keep in mind the season in which we are currently in. We're in Aries season. Aries is all about starting things, right? But you don't want to start too many things, because you're just going to end up with a pile of perhaps unfinished projects or unmet desires, right? But this is meant to light a fire under your ass. Use it for that, okay? So let's say you're trying to get out there. You want to meet somebody. This is the time to be intentional about that desire. Take action toward it. Work on yourself, right? Because as I always say, relationships are really just a reflection of you. Rather than just trying to chase relationships, chase the better version of yourself so that you can attract someone who's on that same wavelength, right? But be intentional about it. Be intentional about taking action towards that which you want. Same thing with money. If you want more money, maybe now's a great time to look for a new job. Maybe now's a time to really network with people who may be able to connect you with whatever it is you need right now. Like, it's really important that you take stock of what I'm saying and use the energy appropriately and understand Venus in Aries. It's actually not it's not a long transit at all, because Venus is going to make another move at the end of April. So you have a good 3 weeks or so to really start something new, to really put yourself out there. And then come the end of the month, it's going to be time to start to get to work. Okay. However, I do like this transit because, again, it gets you up and moving. It gets you motivated. You feel driven, right? And Aries tends to be very one-track minded. It's not scattered. It's not like wanting a million and one things. It's like, this is what I want, and I'm like laser-like focused on it. So choose something. Whether it's love, whether it's money, something Venusian. Maybe it's creativity. Maybe you want to start a new creative endeavor. Maybe you want to take your creative business to the next level. Whatever it is, Venus in Aries is great for starting something new in those areas. Also, linking up with new people as well, in all senses of that phrase. Okay? All right. So next up, we've got the heavy hitter of the month, which is the new moon solar eclipse in Aries, which is going down on April 8th. Now, I will be doing a dedicated video all about this, so I'm not going to go too much into detail right now, but it's an eclipse. So you already know what the deal is. You already know that it is erratic energy. It is a new moon on steroids. New moons are all about planting new seeds and setting new intentions. So this is going to be the time where you really want to do that. Now, this is a total solar eclipse. And actually, a good part of North America will be able to see the eclipse as it is happening. So that's pretty cool. Although you have a lot of people saying, don't even look at the eclipse. You have some people saying, don't even go outside during the eclipse. Like, the energy can be that erratic. So think about a total solar eclipse where the moon completely blocks out the sun, and the sort of spiritual symbology behind that. Darkness is necessary because darkness is where creation is born. And so the energy of newness, the energy of being able to birth something new, is super potent at that time, right? Now, remember, if you've listened to any of my other videos, eclipses are when you let the universe take the wheel. Right? This isn't necessarily the time to be doing the most anyway. When we're in between eclipses, as we are now, this is a time of rest, right? Hydration. You definitely want to stay very well hydrated and kind of just seeing what the universe has in store for you. And I feel like between this last eclipse, this lunar eclipse in Libra, and this upcoming eclipse, this solar eclipse in Aries, much can be learned and much is being revealed to us. Perhaps about what is ending with that lunar eclipse, and definitely what is beginning with this solar eclipse. And so here's the thing. Remember I said before, Mercury retrograde is kind of playing into this because it's kind of cooling our heels. And with Mercury retrograde, it's like resist the urge to act. Because it's like the universe is still moving things around. It's like I said, it's when the universe takes the wheel. So it's like, allow the universe to show you the possibilities. And I feel like that's why I think this eclipse is like opening a new portal. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. And like I said before, there's this intergalactic feel to it. Right? It's like we're going to be able to explore. We're going to be able to enter realms, spaces that we have not previously been privy to. And I feel like that's happening on a macro level. And it's definitely happening on a micro level individually for all of us. Like, this is a time when like your life could look so much different than you could even possibly fathom. And it's hard to fathom because it's hard to fathom what you can't fathom, right? But if you will just allow, and that's really what eclipses are about. It's about surrendering and allowing. If you allow, you can reach heights you've never reached before. Doors you didn't even know exist can and likely will be open to you. But here's the thing, it's kind of preceded by chaos. And the chaos being perhaps what's around you, what's in front of you, what you're attached to, who you're connected to. That may have to end, or that may have to change in a very drastic and perhaps a profound way. Now, keep in mind, astrology doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? It's not like, okay, we've got Mercury retrograde today, we have the eclipse tomorrow. Everything is sort of fluid and kind of happening all at once. And we have Pluto in Aquarius, which is this whole new age, new era, new generation that we've just entered. And now it's like we have this ability to enter this new portal with a new mindset, with a new goal, with a new plan, with a new blueprint. And that blueprint is being created right now. And you know how it's being created? It's being created by the work that you're doing on yourself. It's being created by the universe sort of cleaning up what's going on around you, who you have around you, where you are. And so that is why it's so important to allow at this time, because the chess pieces are being moved. You kind of just have to let things happen and see where the dust settles. By the time we get through this spring eclipse season, things may look remarkably different. And I know that they will definitely feel remarkably different. But honestly, what are you going to do with this newness? Who are you in this new era, in this new generation, this new time period? Who are you? And what do you want? Like I said, the sky's not even the limit. So what is it that you truly want? What is really in your heart? What are you on fire for? I feel like a lot of that is going to come to the surface during this upcoming eclipse. I would say on or around this upcoming eclipse. Now, the numerology of this eclipse is what stands out to me because it's the number one. The number one is all about new beginnings. It's all about initiation, right? Baptism by fire, okay? It may not be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But did you think that the Big Bang was easy? It was definitely loud, I'll say that, and intense. And like I said, this is happening on a macro scale. It's also happening on a micro scale as well. So the question is, what are you going to do with all of this newness? These portals, these doors, these dimensions that are opening up to you, are you going to walk through them? Can you walk through them? Are you even going to be able to recognize the fact that new doors are open to you? Or are you still sort of stuck in the old stuff? Because here's the thing with Pluto and Aquarius. This new era, it is a mindset. It is a consciousness. And if you do not have this consciousness, you're not seeing a new world. You're not seeing or experiencing a new portal. You are experiencing everything that you probably don't want, or that you're tired of, or that hasn't been working, right? It's about elevating your consciousness. And you do that first by doing the inner work, by healing yourself. And we've had plenty of opportunities to do so. That's the thing. What I love about astrology is that astrology will nudge you when it's time to do something, when it's time to do shadow work, when it's time to do physical work, when it's time to change your mindset, when it's time to connect with someone. Astrology, the universe, God will nudge you, will give you a transit that makes you feel a kind of way, that puts someone in your path. Like the universe is constantly working with us, right? And so this is that time where you got to let the universe do its thing. And you got to let the pieces move and figure out what's what. Perhaps the piece is moving to a place or to a situation that's blocking off a situation for you, right? Maybe this situation is like a hard no. And you're just like, but why? Like you're stuck on why. Or maybe you're trying to open that closed door. Or maybe you're trying to go around back and come in a window, and spirit is like, oh, girl, like, I closed that for a reason. That's because I've got something else over here that's open and it's better and it's more in alignment with who you are. Look over there. And the universe will nudge you at first, except during an eclipse. An eclipse, universe is going to slap you in the face with it. Not even going to lie. So it's going to be hard to miss. But you have to be able to, you have to want it. You have to want it. You have to be able to recognize it and take action toward it when the time is right. Okay? So that is that. So next up, on April 19th, we've got the sun moving into Taurus, officially heralding Taurus season. So Taurus energy, as it differs from Aries energy, I'm not going to say night and day, but it's a noticeable difference. Aries is get up and go. It's fire. Taurus is like, all right, slow down. If the imagery that's coming to mind is, Winnie the Pooh, right? Aries is Tigger. Eeyore is Taurus. Slow, steady. It's not to say that Taurus is boring, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that fire, that desire that you have in Aries season, Taurus is like, all right, let's get to work and make it happen. The boring work, the rote work, the routine work. Get it done, get it built. Building foundations is really what Taurus season is about. It's taking that fire and grounding it and making something material out of it, right? Aries season, to go back to my example before, Aries season is like, all right, I want to start this business. I've been thinking about it for a while. I want to start it. All right, during Taurus season, maybe you get your LLC, you get your bank accounts, you start structuring your business. You build the groundwork upon which your business will operate. It can be boring. It's not sexy and exciting and the thrill of the chase that like Aries season is, but it's necessary. And a hot idea is just that, a hot idea. Unless you ground it, unless you are able to build a foundation upon which that idea can thrive, it literally goes nowhere and the fire gets put out. So Taurus season is very necessary, right? Taurus season is also very sensual because Taurus rules like the five senses. So Taurus season, we like to experience things. It's taste, touch, smell, sight, hearing, like all of your senses are, I don't want to say they're activated during Taurus season, but we become a lot more aware of them. And the desire to be sensual, the desire to experience sensuality in that way tends to be highlighted, right? It's no coincidence that Taurus is associated with like luxury and comfort because Taurus likes to feel. There's stability in feeling, in experiencing, right? So Taurus season is great for that. Our plans take root. It's our determination and security needs are strong. So this is where building that foundation comes in. So whatever it is that you're trying to do come Taurus season, that's when you get to work, start plowing the field so that you can start building the foundation. Value becomes a thing as well. It's something that we focus on when the sun moves into Taurus. And value can be money. It can be assets. It can be things like self-esteem, self-worth, all of those things, right? And then on the flip side, on the more negative side, you have things like possessiveness, stubbornness, being very rigid, perhaps in your thinking, being materialistic to a fault. Those kind of things tend to rear their ugly heads when the sun moves into Taurus. However, using the energy for what it is there for, it is building time. It's time to build the foundation. All right. Thereafter, we have the full moon in Scorpio, which is going down on April 23rd. Full moon in Scorpio, it can be very intense. Full moons illuminate or they signify the culmination of something. Scorpio is everything that's underneath the surface. Scorpio energy is substantive. It's deep. It's when we do shadow work, right? So full moon in Scorpio, that's usually when some juicy secrets come out, okay? And I don't know about you, but it feels like we're already starting to see some of this because a lot of what's going on in the news is quite juicy indeed, all right? However, I feel like full moon in Scorpio, it really highlights what's underneath the surface, what you can't see, or perhaps what you've been trying to ignore. Because Scorpio is representative of the underworld, a lot of the things that we deem as negative come to light when the moon is full in the sign of Scorpio. So it's like things like shame, guilt, bad behavior, obsessions, the ugly truth, getting to the bottom of things. Like that definitely is a thing when the moon is full in Scorpio, right? So it may be a time that is jarring, especially if what is coming up to the surface is particularly unsavory. However, if you, and that could be on a macro scale or a micro scale, right? If you've been engaged in inner work, then you're already quite familiar with what's underneath the surface for you. The full moon in Scorpio tends to be jarring for people who haven't done such work or haven't done such work in earnest. And so, whenever the moon is full in Scorpio, it's like your dark side becomes very illuminated. And that can be very unnerving for people, especially if you've been conditioned to not only not address your shadow side, but to shame it. Okay. So it's great for shadow work, obviously, but also for integrating your shadow side. Your shadow side is not just to be stuffed in a box and thrown away. It's to be integrated. Understanding your light and your dark side is what allows you to move forward successfully. So use that energy for what it is there for, which is to unearth the totality of who you are. What I love about Scorpio energy is that it is truth seeking, no matter how ugly or how disgusting that truth may be. And it's not to uncover the truth, to shame the truth, or even to play the blame game. It is to understand it. And in understanding the truth in that way, you become whole, right? So, full moon is going to be pretty intense, right? And of course, this is fresh off the heels of this total eclipse in Aries. So, like I said, April is a month that is super duper intense, all right? Then next up, we've got Mercury going direct in Aries on April 25th. And so after 3 weeks, actually, this is more like 2 weeks and some change of being retrograde, Mercury will go direct. And so that cooling your heels energy, that like stop and think before you leap, that energy is going to dissipate. And it'll probably be time to act on all of the new things that you are trying to begin. It can be a time where you take definitive action steps, right? It can be a time when you put plans into motion. Your thoughts typically become focused on one thing, because remember I said Aries energy, it's like laser like focus, almost to the point of obsession. So by that point, even though the sun will be in Taurus, now you can start getting to work on the thing that you've been trying to start. After you've given it some thought, after you've thought about who you are and, what do you believe about yourself, all that good stuff, you can start getting to work. Even though Mercury will be in Aries, it'll be able to give you new ideas based off some of the reflection that you've been able to do while Mercury was retrograde, right? This is the time where you are directing your communication and your thoughts. This is when you could be very defensive when it comes to the things that you're trying to start or trying to do. Either way, I feel like once Mercury goes direct in Aries by the end of April, it'll be go time. It'll be time for you to start something new and start building upon that new thing that you want to start. Okay? Then we move on to Venus entering her home sign of Taurus on April 29th. Venus loves being in Taurus because Venus is at home in Taurus. So everything Venusian becomes highlighted. things like sensuality, creativity, material things, comfort, security, all of those are going to be highlighted when Venus is in Taurus. You may find that when Venus is in Taurus, you are really thinking about your money. You're really thinking about the things that you want to buy. You want to feel good. And if money is one of those things that makes you feel good, that may really be a focus for you when Venus goes into Taurus. All right. So finances are obviously a thing. When it comes to relationships become the one thing I'll say about Venus and Taurus when it comes to relationships become a thing to have. Since Taurus is very early in the zodiac, we haven't developed our emotions. We haven't developed even our minds when it comes to certain topics as they relate to Taurus. Taurus is like, I have things. These are things. These are my things. These things do things. That's the extent of it. So when it comes to Venus and Taurus, when it comes to relationships, we view them more as possessions or things that we need to have. I guess the best way to put this is like, if you aren't in a relationship yet, you want one, your focus is really on, well, I want a relationship. You want to have a relationship, not necessarily thinking too much about what a relationship entails or even perhaps what you want out of a relationship. It's just the possession of a relationship that may be a factor for you or that may be emphasized. And that's definitely something to take stock of. Because Venus and Taurus can lead to materialism. It can lead to possessiveness. But you ultimately have to ask yourself, why do I want this thing? And what does this thing really mean? What value does this thing hold in my life? Answering that question is going to be the difference between having a relationship that thrives and having a relationship just to have a relationship that may not fulfill you emotionally. Same thing with money. Obviously, we all want money because money is literally what kind of makes the world go round, right? But what do you want to do with that money? What does money symbolize for you? What value does money hold in your life? Does money does money add to your self-esteem and self-worth? Meaning like, I'll feel better about myself when I have more money, or I'm a better person because I have more money? Or is it merely a tool to get from point A to point B? Taurus, if you use the energy for what it's designed for, Taurus is good because it gets you to have things, right? We need to possess things in this world, in this lifetime, right? But what value do they add to your life? What do they symbolize in your life, right? Those are the questions you want to ask yourself, and you'd be surprised at the answers if you're being honest with yourself, obviously. But it's not enough to just have things or just to hold on to things or possess things. Because ultimately, the same things that you possess are going to be the things that weigh you down. The things that define you, especially if you define yourself via a relationship or money, right? So we're talking about how we view ourselves. We're talking about what we keep around us. More is not always a good thing. And Taurus season typically will show that to us. Not even talking about Taurus season, Venus in Taurus will definitely show that to us. Okay. And then finally, we end the month with Mars entering its home sign of Aries on April 30th. So Mars, again, is at home in Aries. This is like a continuation of Aries season. Okay. So when the sun was in Aries, right, we're all about starting new things. We have these new goals. We've got laser-like focus on what it is that we want. We think about, we maybe even obsess about what we want and how we can get it. And then Mars goes into Aries, and then we kind of feel that way all over again. We're very desire driven. We're very much driven by our motivations and our passions. We tend to be very selfish with Mars in Aries. We tend to be headstrong. We tend to be defensive. Whatever we want, and we're willing to defend it to the end in some instances, right? But again, we're like, what is the quickest and most direct route between point A and point B? So this is great. So even though the sun is in Taurus at this time, and Taurus is all about work, amassing things, possessions, right? Aries is like the fuel, right? The fuel to that fire. So think about like a freight train, right? And those old style trains that run on coal still. The train is moving forward, right? That's that work. That's putting in, that's putting in that work. That's that Sun in Taurus. Whereas feeding coal to that train so that it keeps moving, that's going to be Mars in Aries. So it's great energy to not only figure out what it is that you want, but start taking action steps and building the foundation upon which what you want can thrive, right? This is a great time to be alive. Like, I can't even stress that enough, because it's like we're entering this new portal, this new era, and now we've got the energy to get up and go. Now it is finally springtime. Now we've got the eclipses. Now it's Aries season. It's time to take action. Whereas the last couple of months, it's really been about rest. It's been about reflection. It's been about getting your mind right, getting your emotions in check, especially with Pisces season. And now it's go time. So the question is, what are you going to do? What do you want? What do you want to build right now? Who do you want to be in this new time? You could literally be anything. You could be anyone. What do you want? Who do you want to be? And how are you going to get these things? That is the question, or the questions, that April is going to ask of you. So get ready to answer them. All right. So that's the astrology part. So now let's get into messages from Spirit. All right. So, of course, I'm going to pull some cards for everyone for messages from Spirit for the month of April. I do pull by sign. However, whether it's your sun, moon, rising, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, North Node, doesn't matter. If it's your message and it resonates, it's for you. And if it doesn't, then it's not. All right. So, of course, we always start with Aries. So let's see what we've got for Aries for April. And for those April Aries, happy birthday. All right, we've got the Knight of Swords. So Aries, this is Mercury retrograde in your sign. It is about thinking, and it's about really being intentional about your thinking and your contemplation. There's the word that I'm being told is seriousness. And it's not to say that you're not serious about what you want. It's just that you tend to be very impulsive. And that impulsivity, it's like, okay, you're fired up, but the seriousness comes in when you create a plan, when you have a plan that you can follow, when you think a little longer term rather than just imagining how it would feel to have that thing. It's more so about, okay, like having contingency plans, thinking things through. They're just telling me maturity. There's a certain maturity that this Mercury retrograde is kind of going to bestow upon you so that you can really think things through and stop just acting out of impulse. Because it's almost like, do you ever feel like as fast as you want something is as fast as you either don't want it anymore or it doesn't pan out? Spirit is like, there's something that you may really want and you're going to have to think it through. Otherwise, it's going to like slip through your fingers. So slow down, think things through, and be intentional about planning for the things that you want. All right. Next up, we've got Taurus. Let's see what we've got for Taurus for April. All right, Taurus, we've got the Empress, and this is very much you. I love this energy for you because your season is coming up at the end of April. We've got Venus entering your sign at the end of April. This is feeling abundant. This is feeling, I'm hearing the word stationed, like secure. It's like you found a place. Perhaps you're at a particular station in life and you're reflecting on that this month. Very fertile. So if you're not trying to have children right now, definitely take whatever precautions you need to. But there's this energy of flourishing, of blooming, of, see how she's got this flower crown on her head. It's like Spring has finally sprung for you. I feel like you've been perhaps in the winter of your life for a while. And now the ice is thawing, the flowers are blooming, and you're feeling secure, you're feeling fertile. Things can finally take shape. Enjoy this. Now, see these flowers, these are all seeds you've previously planted. So if you haven't planted any seeds, you will not be wearing this flower crown. But I know you've planted seeds and they're going to finally start to bloom. So enjoy it, yet practice appreciation and gratitude. Don't be on this, well, it's about time. This should have happened before. Everything happens in divine timing at the appointed time. And I feel like you're starting to enter that appointed time. So be grateful and stop and smell the roses that have recently bloomed. Okay. Next up, we've got Gemini. Let's see what we've got for Gemini for April. All right, Gemini. We have the 10 of Wands. A lot of pressure. And the word that I heard while I was shuffling for you was volatility. So it's like you may be working toward something, but there's a lot of volatility surrounding this project, this job, this endeavor. It's like a lot of moving parts, a lot of variables perhaps that you didn't anticipate. I feel like the eclipse, even the eclipse from March, the lunar eclipse in Libra, I feel like it really shook you up, or it really shook things up for you. It might have resulted in more responsibility for you. Perhaps there's like, it's almost like your desire to do something or achieve something has been heightened, right? It's like, but it's a lot. There's this intensity. You see this person is carrying all of these wands on their back. You've got a lot going on right now. And it's like you're looking for the direct route between point A and point B, yet it's like you're on a trapeze or like a suspension bridge that's just going back and forth. It's like you're trying to take all these steps, but you really have to be careful where you step because you could be thrown off course at a moment's notice. You kind of just have to go with it. You kind of just have to, it's like, you know, in those movies where people will be in the jungle and they've got to cross this rickety ass bridge that's just swinging in the wind, and you look at the bottom and it's just like a bottomless pit, right? It's not to scare you or anything like that, but you kind of just have to go through it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, you've gotten to a point where you can't necessarily stop, but you do have to proceed with caution. And so whatever you're doing right now, even though there's a lot of volatility, take your time and proceed with caution. Things may change at a moment's notice, and you really just have to go with the flow. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got Cancer. Let's see what we've got for Cancer for April. All right, Cancer, we've got the Page of Pentacles. I'm hearing there's a lot to learn this month. I don't know if you're in school. I don't know if you're learning a new skill, but it does sound like you are learning some new skills. There's a lot to learn this month. It could be money related. So I'm hearing like it could be for a job or a business. Perhaps you're taking some courses. Maybe you're getting a certification. It's like the work that needs to be done. So remember, I talked about Aries season. It's the idea, it's the desire. And then Taurus is laying that foundation. The foundation that you're laying this month is learning the skills that you'll need to perhaps make more money or perform well in your job or something related to your business. Maybe you're learning how to put a website together. Maybe you're learning coding even, right? Like, there's certain skills that need to be amassed this month. So if you are confused with respect for what to do this month or what work should you be doing, learning new skills is definitely the way to go this month. Okay. Next up, we've got Leo. Let's see what we've got for Leo for April. Leo, we've got the Death card. So I'm not sure how many of you are Game of Thrones fans, but in the final season, which I know sucked, remember how Arya was riding in on that white horse as the whole town was like decimated, right? It's like something is really said and done, and you have this whole newness waiting for you, but you kind of have to assess the damage that is in front of you, or not so much damage, but you have to acknowledge what is ending. Some of you already have your sights set on the newness, on the next chapter. And it's not that that's a bad thing. You definitely should have your sights set on what's ahead, but you have to say goodbye to what's in front of you. You have to say goodbye to what's ending and close that door completely. In your haste to move forward, don't leave any doors still open. Don't leave any, I'm hearing stone unturned, but close this chapter for good before you move on. Don't be in such a rush to move forward, to get it done. There may be some mourning that needs to occur. You may need to say goodbye. You may need to allow yourself to feel how you need to feel about this ending, rather than just being like, oh, well, whatever, moving on to the next thing. Because guess what? If you don't deal with the emotions now, you're only going to have to deal with them later on. And you don't want all of that messing up this new beginning that you have going on. So that being the case, you got to sit in this energy of ending. You have to sit in this energy of closure right now before you move on to the next thing. All right. Next, Virgo. Let's see what we've got for Virgo for April. I always hate holding this card up because I don't know if YouTube is going to get, whatever, but this is the card. All right, you see it. It's actually the World card. It's the last of the major arcana. Congratulations, Virgo. This literally is a portal, right? Right. You've graduated. It's like you finished a term at the School of Hard Knocks, and now you're moving on to something completely different. Much like Taurus, I believe it was Taurus that I said was experiencing the winter of their life, and now it's like spring. You guys kind of have the same energy, but it's a lot more, it's like bigger. It's like you've really gone through the gauntlet. It's like you've gone through this obstacle course. The vision I'm getting now is that show that they used to have called Wipeout, where people would have to go through that ridiculous obstacle course. Well, you've made it to the end and you've succeeded. And you're graduating to this next level. So when I say that you're entering a new portal, it's going to look very different than anything you've experienced in the past. And I'm not saying that just for the sake of saying it. Like, it's true. Like, don't try to handle things. So as this new portal opens for you, don't try to handle things the same way that you used to in the past. Learn from everything that you've experienced, everything that you've gone through, and use those lessons to act differently this time around. That's going to be crucial, because as beautiful and as exciting as this new portal is, the minute you start doing things the old way, it sort of shuts down and you go back to the old scenario. So it's really important that you do things differently this time around. Okay. All right. That was a message for me like you wouldn't believe. All right. Next up, we've got Libra. All right, Libra. Okay. I like this for you, Libra. We've got the Ace of Cups. So there is this energy of your cup being replenished. For some of you, your cup has been real dry. Real dry. Real dry. I can't stress how dry. My throat is feeling dry right now. That's how dry your cup has been. And it's about to be watered. This could definitely be a new relationship. This could be a resurgence in an existing relationship. Like, I'm hearing fountain of youth. So some of you may be feeling refreshed, right? It's just this new, it may not even have to do with a relationship. It just may be this new feeling, right? This youthfulness that you may be enjoying right now or will soon enjoy. But I know you guys, and that youthfulness a lot of times has to do with the relationship. So it's like someone has you feeling young again. Someone has you feeling like maybe you're having, those nice conversations you have when you first start dating somebody, and they have you giggling and looking at your phone like, oh my God, this person's so cute, right? Like I'm seeing a lot of that for you. And it's definitely the end to a dry spell. Even if it's not a relationship, something is getting you feeling good, feeling refreshed, feeling youthful. It is definitely something new, something or someone you haven't experienced before. So enjoy it. I'm seeing like children like running through a sprinkler, or like just there's this joy that comes with it, and this laughter and emotion, right? So just enjoy it. That's it. All right, next up we've got Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio for April. Scorpio, we've got the Two of Pentacles. So there is a choice that needs to be made. I'm hearing this or that. Like you're weighing decisions. It's two material things. So it could be a decision between two different places. Like perhaps you have to move or stay where you're at. Perhaps it's two different jobs. It's like there's something about having to make a choice. But this ship is like it's giving travel. So it could be moving, it could be relocating, like trying to figure out where you're going to settle is what this feels like, right? And really deliberating on this energy, really thinking about it. It's like like this may be also like a long voyage, or perhaps it's a very large decision that has to be made with respect to these things. Regardless, whatever decision you make is going to be very long term. So you definitely want to deliberate. You definitely want to weigh all of your options. Like I said, I was seeing this, weighing your options, pros, cons, all that stuff, because it seems like this could be a permanent move. This could be a semi-permanent to a permanent decision. It feels very neutral. It doesn't feel like this is weighing heavily on you. I don't get anxiety or fear. It's just like, okay, there's something very logical about this. Like you're very in your head about it, but not overthinking or obsessing. All right. So take your time with this. I get the sense that this is a decision that you'll probably be making later on in the month into May, definitely during Taurus season. But yeah, definitely think about it, deliberate on this, because it seems something that's very substantial or something high value. Okay. Next up, we've got Sagittarius. So let's see what we've got for Sagittarius for April. Do you not want to talk to me, Sagittarius? Is there something you're hiding? Something you don't necessarily want to talk about? We got the Temperance card, which is your card. Sagittarius, you're trying to throw me off right now. You're being willfully deceptive. It's like there's something like you're putting up a smoke screen. Like you don't want people to know your business. For some of you, you're just like in a different dimension. I know that sounds really weird, but the way that this is coming to me is really weird. Like you're here, but you're not here. It's like people will see you and be like, oh, okay, but your mind is someplace else. And some of you are being willfully deceptive in either who you are or what you're doing right now. So that lets me know that I can't really look into your situation right now. You don't even want me to. But there's something you're trying to hide, something you're trying to keep under wraps, something you don't want people to know about. It's giving like someone who's like a functioning alcoholic, kind of. Like, okay, I'm here, but like your mind is someplace else because you're drunk, right? Like, I hope I'm making sense. And if it doesn't make sense, definitely not your message. But some of you are hiding something. And Spirit is like, it is not my business to find out. So moving on, we will go to Capricorn. All right, Capricorn, we've got the Star card. The thing that I heard was keep hope alive. Some of you may have felt like you couldn't necessarily be optimistic about something. Like you were thinking about how much work would have to go into something, and it sort of took the wind out of your sails. You're like, I want this thing, I want to do this thing, I want to go to this place, but it's gonna take a lot. And I'm like, I don't know. So you didn't allow yourself to be excited about it or optimistic. This card lets me know that you should be optimistic about it. It's not as difficult as you may think it is. It's not as far away as you think it is. Is it going to require hard work? Yes, but you guys are no stranger to hard work, so that shouldn't deter you. It's just be optimistic. Think about the future. Don't sell yourself short. You guys are achievers. Even when you don't even necessarily want to achieve something, you guys typically end up achieving it anyway, or at least some form of it, right? But you guys also tend to be, you psych yourselves out a bit. You're like, you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this or whatever. And then you end up doing it. Or, oh, this is going to be a lot of work. I don't know. And then you end up working and you get it, right? Be optimistic about this. So basically, be uncharacteristically Capricorn. Don't focus on how much work it's gonna require, how long it's gonna take. Just be optimistic. Be joyfully expectant at the results. Okay? All right. Next up, we've got Aquarius. Let's see what we've got for Aquarius for April. Aquarius, we've got the Emperor. Okay. So for some of you, this represents a person. And this person could be kind of harsh, could be kind of overbearing, could be like a drill sergeant kind of person. There's something about your emotions that comes up in April. This could be how you feel about this person, how this person makes you feel. This person may not even be around, but they affect you so much that even though they're not around, it's like you still feel like they are around, or like they've affected your emotions in such a way that they're like unforgettable. It could be for better or for worse. It doesn't have to be a situation where this person's just overbearing. This could be someone who's just very serious, someone who's very driven, motivated, someone who's really like a boss, right? But it's how this person makes you feel that is the focus this month. And it's going to surprise you. This may be someone that you meet, right, that really has an effect on you from the outset. And I get the sense that you may meet this person, I'm not going to say by accident, but this may be a chance encounter. Like you go out with a friend and you randomly meet this person, and this person just automatically like has this effect on you. So this could lead to a relationship of any kind, because I feel like this person speaks to you on like an emotional level. So see where this goes, because I feel like this person, they could be in your life for a while. They could play a significant part in your life in the near future. So keep your eyes open for this person. Okay. And last but certainly not least, we've got Pisces. So let's see what we've got for Pisces for April. Pisces, we've got the Ace of Pentacles. New opportunities. These could be new financial opportunities. You see how big this coin is? It's like you just have to be willing to receive. You see how this hand is just open to receive this opportunity. So be in receptive mode. I'm hearing gratitude. So have gratitude even if you haven't received this yet. Be thankful for the fact that it's on its way. Know that this is coming. Whatever this is, it's like guaranteed. So be grateful for it already. Be appreciative of it and be receptive. If this hand were closed, it wouldn't be able to receive this. So stop resisting. Stop holding on to things that don't leave you room to start new things or accept new things or accept assistance even. This is a wonderful opportunity, and it might be larger than you anticipate. But understand, because these are pentacles, this opportunity may be something that unfolds over time. It's like if this were to represent, like, let's say $10,000, it's like at the outset you get 100, then you get 1,000, then you get 1,500. Like, that's how it unfolds. It's unfolding so slowly. But ultimately, when it's all aggregated together, like, this is a very big opportunity. So be receptive to it. The other thing I'm hearing is like, you've asked for a cake, right? And it's like the universe is about to give you the cake, the flour, the milk, the eggs, the butter. Hold on to these things that you can put the cake together. Don't use the eggs to make an omelet. Use the butter for your toast. And then when it comes time to make the cake, you're telling the universe, like, where's my cake? The universe is like, well, girl, I gave you the ingredients already. What did you do with them? So for some, this may be save your money. Don't squander it on different things, especially if you have a big goal in mind. This could be a big ticket item. Save your money for this. Earmark your money for certain things. But by and large, be receptive, because a wonderful, large new opportunity is on its way to you. All right, my loves, that concludes this edition of the monthly Astro Forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you could use going into this new month. All right. For information on all my products and services, including the link to April's webinar on how to read your natal chart, you will find that either tagged to the video or in the description box below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing, amazing April, and I will see you in my next live broadcast video or whatever. All right, y'all. Take care. Love you.